Are you a leader who's ready to go from stuck to unstoppable? It's time to stop leading on autopilot and start leading with purpose. Through my Leadership with Purpose program and next level coaching, you'll gain the clarity and confidence and tools to lead from within so you can make a greater impact without burning out. Build stronger teams, crush self doubt, lead with clarity and conviction, and unlock your next level of leadership. Don't settle for good leadership. Step into your greatness. Visit warrenwandling.com to learn more and start your journey today. Your next level of leadership starts now.
Welcome back to another episode of How to Become an Obstacle Buster. I'm your host, Warren Wandling, the show that's dedicated helping leaders to overcome obstacles, build resilience, and achieve success. And I have a fascinating guest with me today, Kevin Dean. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Hey, it is so good to be here. So excited to have this conversation today.
Yeah, you have a very fascinating background as the founder and CEO of ManoByte. And did I say that correctly?
You got it right.
Excellent. Since 2007, you've been the forefront leader in AI-driven business transformation, leveraging artificial intelligence and revolutionizing business process with the expertise in AI integration, enhancing customer service, giving and driving operational efficiency. You have really positioned ManoByte as the leader in AI and automation industry. Share with our listeners today some more depth about your business, Kevin.
Yeah, glad to do it. So, what's interesting is that over the past 2.5, 3 years, AI has become a really big buzzword. But the
Yes.
truth is, AI has been around for quite some time. I actually went to school for computer information science. That's my degree. We learned about AI, data, so from the founding of our company in 2007, we've always been focused on artificial intelligence in its various forms. And what's exciting now is that a lot of the things that we learned theoretically were possible in school are now reality, right? And so that's really exciting to see the future and how this can really help transform businesses to help, them not be hindered by technology, by things that they don't know. I think we're entering into this really fascinating time where business leaders can now move at what we call the speed of their ambition. They're no longer hindered by constraints that were tied to the lack of information, the lack of access, and the lack of capabilities.
Yeah, interesting. I love that your terminology, the speed of ambition.
Yeah.
Because instead of just spending the time and thoughts and trying to drive the process mentally, we can do that through AI and still be able to execute at a faster speed.
Yeah. At a faster speed and get a result that's exponential to what we previously thought was possible. Not what we thought was imaginable, but what we thought were possible. So really, we're excited, and what we do at our company is help remove constraints that limit businesses.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really curious about your name. When you named your company ManoByte, how does that reflect your approach to business transformation?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. So, mano is the Hawaiian word for shark.
Okay.
Right. So you take shark and bite, which is a form of technology. Put them together, it's shark bite.
Oh,
I've been a
yes.
big diver most of my life since early teens. Been diving, and my mom used to live in Hawaii, so that's where this thought of shark bite came from. I was working for Fortune 500 companies in the data transformation world, and then this just gave me the opportunity to want to go out and traverse the seas, to be able to provide better solutions for companies. And that's how ManoByte came about.
Yeah, I love that name. I love the history around that name too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fascinating. What do you think is the biggest obstacle you see businesses facing when they're attempting to do that digital transformation? And how do you actually help them overcome that transformation?
That's an awesome question. One of the biggest obstacles that we see is fear.
Fear. Okay, interesting.
Fear is the biggest obstacle that we see to digital transformation. It's the fear of changing something that is working, even if it's barely working, right? So a lot of business leaders are afraid to do something different because what they have is working, right? And it may not be working to the extent that they would like or that they envisioned, but it's working just enough. It's good enough to be afraid to do anything that would potentially disrupt good enough, right? So I'll give you a for instance. Companies may not want to implement a CRM that gives them greater capabilities because they're afraid of disrupting their sales team's process. They're afraid that the sales team won't like it, that the sales team won't adopt it, that it's going to take time away from the sales process. So that fear holds them back from moving forward and adopting technology that will actually provide exponential growth over time, right? So that is honestly the biggest thing that we see holding businesses back is that fear. So, how do we help businesses um, get past that fear? There's a couple of ways that we do that. Number one is we give them a proven process that allows them to, over time, implement something new while not upsetting the apple cart, right? So we help them to move forward without the fear of disrupting what's already in place, right? So that's what we get them. We give them education, we give them the right tools, and we help them to see quick wins so that they can quickly see how, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get the results that I need, and they no longer need to fear it.
So fear is at the driving basis of not moving forward.
It
And it
is.
might show up in a lot of different conversations of we don't want to disrupt the workflow or the sales force or whatever that shows up in conversation.
Yeah.
How do you help a client embrace um, the importance of AI, of what it can make an impact in their business? So instead of resisting it, so being not be a first mover, because obviously you mentioned earlier that AI has been around. It's just now making the surface, really. But for those that are still not on board, leaders that are still holding back, how would you help them overcome the fear to be able to embrace that technology?
There's a couple of things that we do in order to help them embrace the fear that they may have. Um, we implement it in an isolated environment where there's less perceived risk, but there's greater value. So every organization has a troubled child, so to
Uh-huh,
speak,
yeah.
right? That they just shove it in the corner that nobody gives much attention to. It's a problem, but they don't want to put any resources toward it. And they just let it, sit over in the corner causing problems. A lot of those things could be in the form of service tickets, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a
Oh,
lot of
sure.
service tickets that just sit over here in the corner. All right. They're not causing too much problem. So I don't want to address it. So we go after those problem childs that nobody wants to put resources on, that really, at the end of the day, won't disrupt much of anything. And we show them, hey, we can solve this problem for you, get the results that you need, and at the same time, increase productivity in other areas of your business while addressing this one little problem that they're okay with if it doesn't work, even though it always does. But in their mind, they're okay with, oh, if this doesn't work, it's okay, right? It's just a blip, right? And then we show them, oh, it worked. They're like, oh, this worked. Now they feel more confident to take the next step to put it someplace else within the organization where they can find value. And what we have found is customer service tickets are generally a great place to start, and it's for lots of reasons. Number one, we can easily and quickly solve those problems for companies. But when you're solving a customer service problem, businesses don't realize that they're actually solving internal problems at the same time. And so you actually get two birds with one stone by solving a customer service problem.
That's really interesting in reference to working on the customer service issue. That makes an impact also internally. And then if you're solving a customer problem, I assume that could also extend more business. There might be, since you've solved the issue, maybe that created ROI on the sales side or drive more business. Do you find that to be true?
100%. Because when you solve a customer service issue, you open up the opportunity for more sales. But also, when you solve a customer service issue, what that does is that gives you knowledge that sellers can use to go to the market to close sales quicker. Right. So not only are you solving the customer service issue, but you're actually giving your sales team more ammo to be able to address concerns of their customers.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm really curious on what your personal strategies um, of any personal stories that you've experienced with a client around AI that significantly transformed a customer's business, and what was that key breakthrough they experienced?
Yeah, we've had some really great breakthrough. There's a lot of great stories that we could share um, about how AI has been transformative for customers. I'll share a story about HubSpot, which
Okay,
HubSpot, a lot
yeah,
of people know who HubSpot is, right?
yeah,
Um,
yes, great product.
yeah. So HubSpot had a challenge in servicing their customers, right? Oftentimes, because HubSpot can be a technical solution, customers will call in and they would have a challenge that would take hours for a customer support representative to go and solve, right? So that customer service will listen to the customer, they take down the note, then they'd have to go and do research about what do I need to do in order to solve this problem or this issue for the customer. It would take multiple meetings to collect all the information, multiple hours of research for them to solve that. And so, what HubSpot was able to do is they were able to have an AI solution that would address the customer service issues, right? And so,
Mhm.
they eliminated the amount of time by implementing a AI solution that would automatically surface the answers to the questions that customers would have in real time. And so, what it did is that if you had a lower rep who was new to the organization versus a more experienced rep, they both had access to the same knowledge and they were able to provide the same quality of answer to the customer. So it increased customer service, reduced the amount of time that it took in order for answers to get solved. So they provided a better customer experience, they lowered their cost, and they were able to improve customer satisfaction.
Yeah, that makes sense. And in reference to level the playing field, in reference to the customer service rep, the CRR, in reference to gathering information and helping the client instead of
Exactly.
that's the time down. Yeah, interesting. So I'm curious in reference to your personal background and your personal strategies that you have used to overcome your own personal obstacles as you built your business. You have a story and some strategies that you can share with our listeners.
Oh, man. Personal obstacles, they come on a regular basis. They come up on a regular basis, especially after being a business owner for 15 years. You are always going to be faced with one constraint. You solve that constraint, and then you're going to be hit with another constraint, right? And so the constraints always come. So I think for me personally, what I've learned is that you have to be open and ready to pivot while always looking for external resources to help you get answers that you couldn't come up with on your own, right? And so I think that has been a driving lesson for me is just always be open to listen because the ideas that you may get from others will really help you, get unstuck and move forward. So just recently, we and so I'll share a couple of things that we have done and methodologies that help us to move forward as an organization. Number one, we have been for quite some time a big um, proponent of the EOS framework, Enterprise Operating
Oh, sure.
System. And
Okay.
so we are very good about using that system to drive the way that we think about our business and the way that we do things within our organization. We have been we're big on the theory of constraints, right? So we
Yeah.
always are looking at what's our biggest constraint today, and pouring resources in going after that constraint to be able to solve for that constraint. And so that those are the kind of the two big core systems that kind of drive the way that we think about the business, the way that we operate. And using those principles, we're able to continually look at ways to keep moving forward. But what I'll say is, over the past 2 years, we've really been using AI to help us strategically implement these systems, right? And so now what I'm finding is that we're getting deeper insight, better answers to our questions. We're able to identify root cause better. We're able to discuss the issues more deeply. And then we're able to come up with solutions that really are focused on helping us get results, because now we have a resource next to us at all times that is helping us, to move forward. We've spent, I'm sure we spent over $1 million on consultants over the years trying to
Mhm.
help us solve
Yeah.
problems. But what we have found is that now some of the problems that we would go to consultants to solve for us, we're solving ourselves as a team using AI to help us to dig in and flesh out issues better, and to come up with alternate solutions that we wouldn't have been able to do previously. We can look at it from different lenses using AI to be more strategic about how we solve some of the challenges that we face.
Yeah. So having that technology and to be able to dig deeper into from a problem solving solution, what do you think is that new skill from a leadership perspective to tap into that AI?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, literally. Um, and the new skill that I think leaders need to think about is, I believe that those who know how to ask the next question and the next better question are the ones that are going to thrive in this era of AI. Meaning that you need to know what question you need to ask AI. And then you need to know how to ask for more information about that question, about the answer that you've returned. And then you have to be a challenger asking questions about the answer to look at it from different perspectives. And this is great, right? This really makes you think, right? Because you're asking questions. You're trying to poke holes and looking for different perspectives, right? I think asking questions is going to be one of the best skill sets that people are going to have in this era of AI.
Interesting. So is it deeper than just the prompt, or is it also the prompt and then knowing the language to use to ask the right question?
Okay, so I've got the question for you.
Okay.
So what do you mean when you say language? Because language can mean
So yeah.
multiple things.
So I would like the language in reference to the sentence that you would use, the structure and the question of that you're asking AI to drive that question deeper.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure we weren't
Yeah.
talking about other forms of language that we could
Yeah.
use with
Yeah.
AI. So I think you can get comfortable with using natural language. And I've experimented with this from different ways, right? I've experimented with, using very structured prompts versus just talking casually. and lots of different things. And it really doesn't matter how you ask or how you personally prompt whatever LLM
Oh,
you're
interesting.
using. Um, what matters is that you keep asking, right? Now you can structure your prompts. Prompt engineering is definitely a skill set, and you can craft prompts to get a certain type of answer, right? You most definitely can. Like I can ask, you know, ChatGPT, Perplexity, the same question in different ways and get different answers, right? And that's about prompt engineering. But
Okay.
really, the whole concept behind agentic AI, all these AI platforms, is that it really is good about understanding who we are, what we mean, and especially if we have built out, let's just say, for instance, that you're using ChatGPT. Now it has memory. Now it will know and have a sense of what you're talking about because it's giving it that context. And so over time, whatever tool that you're using, it's going to understand who you are and what you really mean. And it's going to start giving you answers around that. That's a good thing and it's a bad thing. And that's why you have to learn to ask other questions, deeper questions. I'll give you a real example. It's kind of a funny uh, experience, but um, we were doing some market segmentation, right? And I was trying to figure out which market might be the best for us to go after. And I had in my mind this feeling that I wanted to go after a certain market. And I had been spending time diving into whether or not this would be a good market. And I put in different prompts, different chats in ChatGPT. Um, and then later I came back and I asked it a different question. And I said, well, which market do you think would be the best for us to go after? And it gave me and it gave me several, but one of them that it gave me was the one that I was digging into. And then I'm like,
Interesting.
wait a minute. So I asked it, I said, hey, did you give me this answer because you knew that I was investigating this answer previously? And it was funny because it actually laughed, right? It said,
Oh,
ha ha.
interesting.
It said, ha ha, you caught me. I did pull this from your memory. That's why I included this answer. And so I said, hey, don't do that. Actually go and do the research and let me know, statistically speaking, which would be the better market. So if I didn't know to question that, I could have been blindly led down a path thinking that I was correct with my initial assumptions that this would be a good market. So those are the types of
Interesting.
things where you really have to keep asking and keep asking the right questions and opposing questions as well.
Yeah, I love that story because it does illustrate the point, not to get caught into um, thinking that you were on the right path because you could have, but still questioning of how they came up with the information. So
Yeah,
still questioning and digging in deeper before you make your aha.
that's right. You've got to do that. You've got
Yeah.
to learn to do that. And I think I think the other thing that business leaders need to be careful of is falling into the trap of thinking their existing organization can also provide answers.
Oh, interesting.
Because um, as humans, your existing organization, whether they do it intentionally or not, they have their own biases.
Yes.
AI has a bias, humans have biases, right? It's just natural. And so, if you're using your existing organization to help guide your future decisions for AI, you're actually doing yourself a disservice because everyone within your organization has the intended goal to maintain the status quo, right?
Yeah.
Um, it may be that somebody's role may not be the best role moving forward, right? That some roles may have to change, but I'm never going to say that, right? If I'm the marketer who all that I do is, write the blog and create images, like that may not be the role that needs to stay within the organization that AI can automate, just as an example. Um, and so, as the marketer, I'm going to try to protect that. right? And I'm going
Yeah.
to poke holes, right? And say, no, this isn't the right path. But if you have an outsider come in who can objectively see where the value is, AI cannot today solve for all the issues that organizations have. But there are definitely areas within the organization that AI can automate out certain tasks that are happening. And you've got to think through those things really carefully.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. So I think success leaves clues, and one of those clues, Kevin, are the books that leaders read. So, what are some of the authors, or maybe books that come to mind that have really impacted you in your career?
Yeah. Um, I think that um, one of the best books that I kind of always kind of, center everything on is Norton and Kaplan's balanced scorecard and strategy maps. I
Yes,
think for me that those books have always been, you know, core to who I am as a leader and how I think about things. Right, those principles have always kind of been rooted in how I think about things.
very fascinating. That's yeah, excellent. So, because I always love new books and new concepts, because I think that's really how you can continue that growth mindset and be open to learning.
Yeah, one hundred
So,
percent, one hundred
any
percent.
any last minute thoughts that you want to share with our listeners to encourage those leaders out there that are still holding back and really using AI? Maybe they might have the self talk. They're saying to themselves like, "I'd rather do the work myself," or "I want to be creative. I don't want AI to do this." How can we help those leaders kind of break through that limiting belief?
Yeah, I think that leaders need to think about how their organization will add value to customers in the future, right? And if you have your North Star of this is where we add value for the customer, pour your resources into adding value to the customer. Take away the thoughts of, oh, this is the way that I used to do it. This is the way that we used to do it. But think about how do we continue to add value to our customers today and tomorrow, and let that be your guide. And if you do that, then you're going to see that there's a lot of things that really aren't required or necessary that really are blockers to your future growth.
Yeah, I love that. I love that perspective. That's a great anchor and north star that the word that you used to be able to help clients and the listeners to be able to guide them through this process of changing using AI. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah,
So
no,
what
no
is the
problem.
future? What does the future hold for you? Any special projects you're working on?
Oh man, there's so many cool things that we are working on. So many cool things that we're doing. We are really spending time building agents, AI agents, to solve for some of the standard core problems that businesses face. Right, to make it easier for people and business leaders to implement solutions for their organization. So that's number one. And number two, the next big thing that we're doing is we are involved in something that's going to be coming out here pretty soon is building AI literacy. So we're working with an organization to help uh, organizations, companies be able to build AI literacy throughout. So that's a big project that we're working on that we're excited about to help companies with.
Wow, interesting. So I know our listeners are going to want to be able to connect with you. Kevin, what's the best way for them to be able to reach out?
Yeah, I'm super active on LinkedIn, so please come out, find us on LinkedIn. You can go and visit my personal website, kevinjdean.com. My company website is at manobyte.com. And feel free to come and check us out, and we'll be glad to connect and help you answer any questions that you may have.
Perfect. Excellent. I'll make sure all of those links are in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Kevin, for sharing your strategies and tips, helping our listeners really to overcome those obstacles and really to embrace AI so they can become resilient as a leader.
Oh, this has been fantastic. It's been great talking to you and looking forward to continuing the conversations.
Yes. Well, this is your host, Warren Wandling, and say until next time, be an obstacle buster and be resilient.